Hello, everyone. Welcome to the main stage on day 2 of the 2023 iGEM Grand Jamboree. And thanks for coming to Paris and celebrating the 20th year of iGEM with us. Thank you. iGEM would never have grown into what we are today, now as you look, without support from iGEM partners and friends. So we are super grateful and lucky that in this celebrative year, 4 of iGEM long-term friends are joining us on the main stage. And they're going to share with us their memorable moments in the past 20 years with iGEM and their vision on the future of synthetic biology. So let's welcome our first keynote speaker, Austin Chen, co-founder of Ginkgo Bioworks, to the stage. Thanks, Austin.
Hello, iGEM. How are we feeling today? I have to admit, it's been many years since I've come to iGEM Jamboree. 20 years. How amazing is that? It hasn't felt like 2 decades to me, but I know many of you probably weren't even alive 20 years ago. I've had the privilege of seeing iGEM from the beginning. And this year is very special. It's not just the 20th year anniversary of iGEM, it's also the 15th-year anniversary of Ginkgo Bioworks. And so today, I would like to provide a little perspective on the past, the present, and future of iGEM, Ginkgo, and the synthetic biology industry. So if I can move forward, there we go. Let's start with how I got into the field. Take you back to 2001. And I was looking to go to grad school, and I met Tom Knight at MIT. He had built a biolab in the AI lab. He was a computer scientist who thought that we should program DNA instead of programming computers. And I was a computer scientist who didn't want to program computers, and programming biology seemed so much more fun. And so I went to MIT, joined Tom's lab, and started working in synthetic biology. A year later, we created the MIT Synthetic Biology Working Group, where we tried to figure out what synthetic biology will be, where we would go, and how we would get there. And I think a lot of the ideas that came afterwards came from discussions from that group. We organized the Synthetic Biology 1.0 conference in 2004. And the predecessor to iGEM, it was in 2003. It was an MIT class, 4 teams over a couple weeks, to design oscillators. You can see I'm sitting on the bottom right of that picture. In 2004, the class was repeated, and it was around designing polka dots, making patterns with biology. And that was so much fun that it was soon expanded to become intercollegiate competition, and iGEM was born. In 2006, I, along with all my future Ginkgo co-founders, participated as advisors on the MIT team. Our project was called Eau de coli. We were making E. coli that would smell, making perfumes, and it actually worked. You can see us at the MIT Jamboree. We actually had a live demo at that Jamboree where people could smell our cultures. And then 2 years later, we founded Ginkgo Bioworks. 5 of us, we had been working together over this period of time through iGEM, through this period at MIT, thinking about what the future of synthetic biology should be. And so I would say my path to SynBio has been in iGEM and Ginkgo was very fortuitous. I did not grow up thinking I would be a biological engineer. The last biology class I've taken was in high school. All of you in participating in iGEM today are far ahead of me. In terms of your SynBio journey. And we started Ginkgo because we had this passion for where the future of SynBio would be. And hopefully that describes a lot of you here today, and maybe one of you will be on this stage in 15 years. You know, this 2023 is very similar to 2008 in the macroeconomic world, so I think now is a good time to start the next Ginkgo. So I'm going to talk a little bit about like how we got started in our philosophy. So iGEM and Ginkgo started with very similar backgrounds, and so it wouldn't be surprising to you to know that we have very aligned missions and vision statements. Ginkgo's mission was to make biology easier to engineer. We wanted to develop the tools for synthetic biology, software, automation, the biological workflows, etc. And in many ways, iGEM was far more ambitious than Ginkgo. iGEM vision was biology is already easy enough to engineer. Let's just let the undergrads do it. Just tell them it's possible and let's see what they do. And they've done it. You get a lot of working projects. Look at how iGEM has grown over the years. So my first takeaway from the past is we should aim higher and don't be afraid to miss. Be ambitious. Both iGEM and Ginkgo, we've had some really tough challenges. We have not hit everything we wanted to hit, but we've still achieved a lot. iGEM has grown from 4 teams from 2003, and Ginkgo is now an international publicly recognized company with 1,000 employees, enabling a large swath of the industry. The second takeaway from the past is that people are more important than ideas. I think most iGEM teams are formed with a group of people, and then you guys come up with ideas, right? You collect the great people. Ginkgo also started with 5 founders without a particular idea. We had a mission. We didn't start with a technology. We didn't start with a way to make a bunch of money. Ideas, I think, can go from bad to great to terrible very quickly. And great ideas are very diffusible. They're very hard to keep to yourself, while great people, on the other hand, are much less mobile, much harder to find, and therefore much more valuable. So collect great people, good ideas will come, and great things will happen. So now we bring you to the present. So what does Ginkgo do today? So we are supporting the synthetic biology industry. We are a horizontal platform. We are trying to support people in the space on making it easier to bring their biological products to market. Some of the capabilities that we have are shown on the screen. They include enzyme design, enzyme optimization, strain optimization, and scale-up. We work with customers from large to small companies, to academics, to governments, to iGEM teams, to everyone. We want to make biology easier to engineer for everyone. We work on 100 programs right now. These are like 100 iGEM-like programs at a time. They are in areas that range in all sorts of industries, from pharma, biotech, food, chemicals, agriculture, industrials, materials. So if you have an iGEM project out there, we're probably working on something similar to it at Ginkgo. I would like to talk a little bit about like the intersection of iGEM and Ginkgo today at Ginkgo. So I mentioned in 2006, we worked on the smelly bacteria, Old E. coli. Some of our initial projects at Ginkgo were in the fragrances industry. We were making sense for the industry. And today, you can now buy a perfume at wearefuturesociety.com. This is a perfume from one of our spinouts, Archaea, that's made from an extinct flower that Ginkgo resurrected. So what Ginkgo did was we went to a museum, found a flower that had been extinct, and Jurassic Parked it. We sequenced the DNA. We synthesized scents that we thought would make it, it would be good for a perfume, and Archaea helped formulate it into a perfume that you can now purchase today. Another example of how iGEM and Ginkgo have intersected is with a project with FredSense. So in 2011 and 2012, the Calgary iGEM teams tackled a problem that's extremely important for Alberta, Canada. Tailing ponds are a waste water stream from the oil sands operations. And they worked on biological sensors, connecting it with electrochemical readout to sense and degrade toxins. After iGEM, they formed FredSense, which develops these handheld, portable electrochemical sensors for real-time monitoring of water. In 2022, FredSense partnered with Ginkgo, using our directed evolution platform to develop and improve a biosensor strain. And that works so well that we've now doubled down on our partnership, and we have recently signed additional work where we are developing additional biosensors. This is, I think, a great example of how we would love to help commercialize and bring iGEM ideas to the market. One of the takeaways I have from the present is the value of the synthetic biology ecosystem. Ginkgo depends a lot on SynBio literate employees, customers, investors, government, media, consumers, the general public. And I have met iGEM alums in all of these areas, and I'm always astounded by the reach of iGEM. There are iGEM alums everywhere. And so I think this is one of the most valuable ads from iGEM. Also, all the startups that are being created from iGEM, beyond FredSense, there's 150 plus startups, hopefully more coming from this batch. Another area where iGEM and Ginkgo have worked together is on the iGEM Design League. So this is focused on under-resourced areas which may not be able to afford having a lab. Currently focused on Latin America, where there's a lot of teams that will design a synthetic biology system and Ginkgo will provide mentorship. The winners go to Boston, visit Ginkgo, and Ginkgo helps create and synthesize some of their designs and constructs. I think this is a great model for how Ginkgo's foundry and our vision that biology should be accessible to more people, even people with fewer resources. And iGEM is also trying to enable a broader swath of people with access to synthetic biology. So I think there's good rooms for collaborations between the two groups. So one of the other takeaways I have from the present is that it's been very difficult to realize the potential beyond the technical hurdles of synthetic biology. There's a lot of economic and social issues. Technical success doesn't always lead to commercial success. Product development, scale up, market acceptance, regulatory, many other factors are needed for the market. I think the biggest driver for SynBio will be the public pull for SynBio products, and I think that's where iGEM can help a lot. Let's make the public demand for more SynBio. So now I want to talk a little bit about the future. What is it that the next 20 years will bring, and where are we going to go? So I would say we are still missing in the synthetic biology industry some sort of breakthrough product paradigm shift that was brought about by, for example, the personal computer, the internet, mobile phones, or ChatGPT. These types of innovations spurred entire new industries. For the most part, in the past 20 years, no one knew what SynBio is. I would say today, still mostly no one knows what SynBio is. And for mass adoption, we need something that everyone has that is in SynBio. And I think iGEM and Ginkgo are great infrastructure. We are building the supporting system for products like this to come about, but we're not the ones that will be building this. Hopefully, it will be one of you here at iGEM today. And at Ginkgo, we would love to support you in that journey. Here, I've on the horizontal axis shown biological complexity. On the vertical axis, impact. So at Ginkgo, our mission, again, is to make biology easier to engineer. Now, one way to view that is we want to make a project that you could do today cheaper, easier, and more likely to succeed tomorrow. But that's not very interesting. What we really want to do is be able to do something tomorrow that we could not do today. We want to increase the complexity of systems that we can build. We want to move along the complexity axes. Most projects today, I would say, are in the lower left, low complexity, low impact projects, all the iGEM projects, most everything that's currently being done today. I would say maybe there are some things in the upper left, low complexity, high impact. I'd maybe put the COVID vaccine in there. Clearly had a global impact, opened up the world, and it's so simple, right? Copy the sequence of the virus into a vaccine, and now you've opened up the world. On the upper right, the high complexity, high impact, that's the dream of SynBio, right? That's the dream of growing your house, carbon capture, manufacturing everything with biology. But I think the most interesting is the lower right? The high complexity, low impact quadrant. The COVID vaccine had a huge impact, but people are taking the vaccine because they have to. People aren't taking it because they want to. Like, how do we get to a place where we desire SynBio products? We're buying and using products because we want to, not because we have to. And I think this quadrant, if you think about other industry, people spend a lot of time writing software, making hardware, robotics, AI, a lot of complex projects that have no use whatsoever. They do it for fun, and that's what makes the industry succeed, right? Like when you're just doing stuff just because, and I think that's what we need to get to in SynBio. That's when biology is really easy to engineer. And so I put the milestone of porting Doom to biology. That's when we will have succeeded in the high complexity, making low impact, making biology so easy to engineer. So some takeaways I have for the future is, one is I think synthetic biology is not cheap enough. We hear a lot about the falling cost curves of sequencing synthesis faster than Moore's law, but that is not sufficient. SynBio is much more than sequencing and synthesis. The costs are not cheap. Everyone here that's running an iGEM team knows the cost for the expensiveness for forming a team. And Ginkgo, we've raised billions of dollars. This is not something that anyone can do. We're hoping at Ginkgo to reduce the cost by providing our platform, our investments to more players. But even Ginkgo's cost, we realize, for a lot of potential customers, it's still too expensive. And we need to reduce the cost. And I think there's a lot of room for improvements. A lot of people here who could think about how to reduce the cost of synthetic biology. How to, instead of trying to think about doing new things, how about just doing the same things but cheaper? And not just synthesis and sequencing. I think there's a lot of people already thinking about those, but there's a lot of other areas to think about. Another takeaway I would have for the future is that it is futile, impossible to predict the future, but we need to get to predictability. I would love to see the world where we are shocked when something doesn't work, as opposed to today when we are excited when it does work. At Ginkgo, we have started working on so many projects that some types of projects have become predictable. We are able to structure some contracts as payment only upon success because we can predict the success. It has actually become engineering. It's no longer a science project. And I think this will when biology becomes predictable, I think this will change iGEM. It will certainly broaden the reach and access of SynBio beyond iGEM. And I think there will be a lot of impact on society when that happens. So I want to make a pitch for 2 podcasts put on by Ginkgo. So the first is exclusive to iGEM. This has not been released to the public yet. You guys are the first to see this. This is an exclusive podcast with Tom Knight, founder of Ginkgo and of iGEM. So here's a little tidbit for you to watch.
The technology we work with has the capacity to alter reality, to change the course of life on Earth.
I think the stars are aligned for the success of Ginkgo. This is the fundamental technology of biology, and we're pretty good at controlling it. I am here to assure you that I will not run out of things to learn.
I'm Christina Agapadkis, the head of creative and marketing at Ginkgo Bioworks. Join me for Knight's Laws, a podcast with Ginkgo co-founder Tom Knight. Tom's remarkable life of learning helped give rise to the field of synthetic biology. He learned a lot along the way about risk and innovation.
Tom's life and the story of Ginkgo Bioworks hold lessons for each of us. Knight's Laws is brought to you by Ginkgo Bioworks and Arbo Radico. Find Knight's Laws anywhere you find your podcasts.
This is where you'll find Knight's Laws. You can scan the code or visit our booth. Highly recommend. Like I said previously, Tom Knight brought me into this field, and I've met others here who have also got into synbio because of Tom. Second podcast is Foundry Theory.
Why doesn't biology translate easily into the language of math? I can think of 3 reasons: scale, integration, and variability. Scale. Math works well for small systems with few interactions. It also works well for large systems because large numbers give a reliable average. Biological systems often live right in between, with between tens and thousands of interacting parts. Too big to be simple, too small to average, sometimes called a mesoscale problem. Integration. In biology, it often seems like everything interacts with everything else. A living cell has thousands of moving parts with millions of connections between them. Not all of these connections are really important. We can focus on some of them, disregard others to find a system that is simple enough to describe with an equation, but it's hard to escape the feeling that we're missing something, that something is lost when we separate a part from the whole.
So Foundry Theory, here's the code to get access to Foundry Theory. It's a podcast on understanding biology, put on by Jake Wintermute. So to sum up, at Ginkgo, we like to say, let's grow everything. Let's grow the future together. I appreciate all of you being part of iGEM in the synthetic biology community. Hearty congrats to Randy for 20 years. It's been an amazing 20 years. And have a great rest of the Jamboree, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin.